We're back, huh?
Hey, we're back. We did it.
A little hiatus last weekend.
Oh yeah, we got to get back on the podcast too.
And the podcast.
That'll be next. That'll be next
We
week.
will get back. We were talking about that this week, and we're trying to figure out schedules and plans. This week was still a little crazy, just kind of the aftermath after the wedding with out-of-town guests still here and whatnot, and we're playing a little bit of catch-up. So
yeah, we had a really short week today because our mom and uncle went to his house, and then I got married last Friday, and then everyone came to my house, and they just left. So we're like scrambling. It's hard to work when you have family in town.
It sure is.
It's really hard.
And we've talked about this before, where it's like you don't want to be testing recipes when you have guests, because I had a nightmare situation come where dinner flopped, and it was like it's all I made. No, with Shannon's sister when she was in town, and it was just like I'm like, just go out to dinner. Like I can't salvage this.
You told me about that. Yeah,
it was just bad. It's embarrassing. It's like hey, I'm going to try this new meal, and it's like I don't even want to serve it.
We want people to love this food because even though we've been peddling it to our family for years now, people, they're still iffy about it, and they're meat eaters and dairy eaters, and we just want them to like it. So they're still maybe like, Mom's always like, I always eat what Jude makes whenever I'm there. She'll eat anything, but then the first chance they get, they're ordering bacon out for
breakfast. And I do
anyway, we want it to be good, so they continue to want to eat it. So.
It is nice to have like a couple, and I did make, what did I make? They tried the pickles when they were here. Like, I'm like, I'm going to crack open a new jar of pickles. I want you guys to just give me your feedback. So I opened like the okra pickles. The okra pickles are awesome, and I'm so glad I made like 3 jars of them.
Okra.
We're already into jar 2, and I still have like 2 jars of pickles open in my fridge, which I know my wife's not happy about having so many pickles open, but they go quick. I mean, I'll eat, especially the okra ones, but. Anyway, it is nice to have just some extra mouths to give stuff a try and give feedback on.
Well, I took the easy route. I just made pizza. I knew everyone would love it, with the almond parm, and we did like tons of veggies, and they loved it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I needed to make things easy this week, so I didn't try anything fancy. But
I did the Gouda pasta, but I used broccoli instead of spinach, and then I made seitan, just the seitan beet. The beet seitan.
Yeah.
And then I made barbecue sandwiches.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. I brought them to the wedding.
He brought them to the wedding, so we had a little party on Thursday night. The wedding was Friday, and we had this whole spread. We did sort of a potluck, but like we were in Michigan all week, so we did like whatever was left over. We just like sauteed vegetables, made rice. Someone made tofu.
Whoever made that tofu, that tofu was great.
Wasn't it good?
Yeah.
Jan made it.
Jan was really good.
People brought salad dressings, and I'm sure it had oil in it, but I didn't care. Anyway, there was a bunch of salad dressings. So she's like, what do you think if we marinated in this? And I was kind of like, I don't, it seemed weird to me. See what I mean? But she's like, try it. She's been eating vegetarian for years, and she just is a confident cook. So she did it, and it was smelling so good in the oven. And I agree. It was just salad dressing. She marinated it in.
It was delicious. And I meant to ask, like, who made? There was so much different food, and there was so many people. I was just like, who made this? Who made that? It was just like, just put it up. But I'm glad I brought those because I made them I bought slider buns, and then I just like dunked the seitan in the sauce and just made little sliders, and like everything, they're gone. They're like,
they probably didn't know it was seitan.
Well, no, probably not. So and in the end, I mean, I just brought them because I wasn't sure what was being made. We were going to be gone for 2 days. It's like, all right, let's just bring some food, like the leftover. So that Gouda pasta was left over. There was some left over, and
you brought that.
Yeah, I would have brought more. I could have made like 20, 40 of those sandwiches like that.
You had the coleslaw that I put on. Right. So good. Well, those buns were good too because they were white, fluffy buns. But
the coleslaw just kind of got lost a little bit. I knew I put that on mine, but I know like someone there, I can't even remember, said something to me because when I was prepping everything, like in that kitchen, it was just frantic. There were so many people, and she's like, "Oh, what's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, coleslaw. It's for like the little, the slider sandwiches or whatever." And I just put it out there, and then at the end, like me and Shannon and someone else had the coleslaw, but no one else. She's like, "Oh, no one had your coleslaw." And I'm like, "Well, it was just for the sandwiches. I don't know if people knew to put it on there, but either way, it doesn't matter."
It looked a little dry, but it was so good on the sandwich. But on the side, it looked like, oh, that's a side dish of all cabbage, you know. But it was really good on the sandwich, though. Yeah. So so we got married on Friday, and the wedding turned out so nice. I can't even get over it. I was on that wedding high for like 4 days afterwards. Frank and I were both just like, that was so much fun. You know, it's like you don't want it to end, and it just flew by. All that, like, I had all these balls in the air during like the 2 weeks prior because we had to hire someone for the food and for the drinks and for the, you know, this and that. And to find the venue, it was all done last minute. I don't know how we got that space. Wasn't that beautiful?
Yeah, it was awesome.
The gardens. And that's why I didn't tell you about it before, because that golf cart ride down when you see the canopy, it's just so nice, you know? So I didn't want to do that. Because when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is
that's
so
the whole thing. Even the view, like, because they have like to lead in, they have 2 walkways, and there's like a waterway between, and then a little fountain at the end. That was really pretty.
So pretty. I know we lucked out. I don't know how that fell into our hands at the last second. But yeah, it was so much fun, and it was just family, like close family. That's it. And now we're gonna have a big party for all of our friends and extended family. We didn't plan that yet, but it'll be last minute. No, it'll be fun.
Well, if you're having it outside, you're gonna want to do it before the weather.
I know. So maybe the first week of September. Yeah, we are the backyard.
Maybe
but anyway,
we'll be gone the first week. But
you will? Oh shoot! When do you get back? Second week?
The 6th. We'll be gone the 2nd through the 6th. It's my in-laws' 80th birthday party.
Okay, we'll do it that when you're home the next weekend.
We're both live on the show.
I want you there.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm here.
A big party. I mean, that was nice. We had about 48 people. That's our close family because Frank has 6 siblings, so that was it. It was small, but it was really, really nice. And Roger, my friend Hallie's brother, was our chef / caterer, and he did this whole taco bar, which I barely ate. I was a little bit bummed at myself because I was so busy and I was talking. Did you have much of the charcuterie board?
I had a couple of things from there. Again, I just wanted to try some of the cheese, and then he had like a sausage thing cut up. I made a bunch of stuff, but yeah, I just made a small plate.
I just was picking. I think I had a bite of sausage. I didn't have any of the cheese, unfortunately. I didn't make a plate of pickles or anything. I think I had 2 pieces of sausage. Bummer. But everyone said it was good. Of course, the whole thing was plant-based. He had like 3 different types of tacos, salsa from these like 40 varieties of tomatoes that he grows in his garden. We should go to his farm. He lives on a farm with like tons of. Oh, you've been there?
No, well, I was going to say, when you said that, I went to his house one time and he had a big garden, and he was also he had a beehive, like they were doing, like he had a bee. This was years ago. Crazy pie, stop it!
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, but that was at his house. I mean, this is probably 6-7 years ago.
But he also did all the tacos. Oh, the quesadillas. Did you try those? Those were so good.
Yeah, they were really
quesadillas.
Good.
He was making them. He had like 2 crepe pans, and he was making the tortillas hot and making the quesadillas. But then my favorite thing, I have to say, he did the tres leches cake. Did you try that?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh,
I tried both. I tried both cakes, and I didn't try the cupcakes, but I tried both.
The vegan wedding cake.
Yeah.
That tres leches cake, we brought it home, and the next night, all of us were eating it. It was like he made it special for my daughter so she could have it without nuts. I thought for sure it's going to have nuts. He sent me a text the day before. He's like, tres leches, no nuts. I was like, yay! Nice. So good. So anyway. It just flew by, and then it was over, and then we came home, and we were just like on a cloud for 3 days, watching the videos, that cute little video that Lainey made.
It was all very, very heartfelt. There was a lot of great speeches. You know, all the kids gave speeches. Some of the siblings gave speeches. Even the guy who officiated. Yeah. I don't know what his title it would have been, but he. I mean, that's what's great about that kind of thing. Like, he's close to you guys, and he was able to like officiate the wedding and like make it very personal. You know, just with his own experience.
Yeah, he told the story during the ceremony. Like, he started it off with how we met. him, and it was just funny, but it was heartfelt. He's such a great guy.
Yeah, it was
So,
great.
It was
It was
great.
awesome. Looking forward to the party.
Okay. All righty.
All right, let's get to the meals, the Friday meals. Let's see here.
Simple, light, and summery, because you know what? It's still summer. I don't want to let go of summer.
Who does?
You get real cold here in Chicago.
B-Rocks.
B-Rock. I was saying it wrong. So we didn't grow up with these. Phill came up with this idea because we are trying to please the masses here. We want everyone to be happy. And it looks like Becky is already happy because, see, she grew up eating this. She posted in the Facebook group. She was so excited to see these. Well, when Phill brought this up to like, why don't we make this? I had never even heard of them. But that's what I do. Then I start researching it. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. It's like the German / maybe Russian. I think it's a Russian word, but it's German. Somebody correct me, but this is what I found out in my research. Of their version of like a calzone, like we grew up eating. Same thing. It's like a savory pastry with a filling and like a bready type crust, or like an empanada. It's like every culture has their own version. So cool.
Yeah, I mean, what I like about these too is, I mean, not obviously we have plain, but they're versatile. We can mix it up with the fillings in here, and I like the fact that one, you can eat them hot or cold. I mean, I had them obviously both ways. I've eaten them both ways.
Me too.
But it is great to just be able to like just take this thing along, like a sandwich.
Yeah.
I can put this into anything and just eat it right in the car or whatever. So I like.
And it's enclosed. You don't have to slice it in half if you're traveling with it. It's a little puff ball. Right. It's totally sealed.
Yeah, just easy to eat, but yeah, super flavorful. I like the basics, and Judi and I were talking about, like, when I talked to her originally about it, I just said, like, we might want to try some different fillings. I made the plain originally and kind of stuck with that, and then I'm thinking I should have tried it with cheese or barbecue or just different stuff. But in the end, we voted for the just going with the plain, and just to launch this. But we'll probably have some other stuff, down the road. But
well, I did make 3 versions of this. So I made the plain first, and I loved it. But then, like we had talked about, it's like, okay, well, let's just see what we could do with it. So then I made it with our barbecue sauce. Really, really good. It's super good with the barbecue sauce if anyone wants to try that. But it's just different. It's not the way I don't think this was intended to taste, because we wanted it to be the traditional way, which was so good. And then I tried it with our provolone cheesy sauce. I put that inside and baked it. And it was, again, still good, but I prefer the traditional way. I just love that, like our beef style crumbles gives it that texture. And then with the sauteed cabbage and onions and all those spices.
It almost reminds me of like a roast dinner compact. You have like the beef, you got the vegetables, you got the sauce, that kind of thing. It's just like, I don't know, just all kind of contained in that one little pocket.
But I also, and maybe if Becky's listening or listens later, she could tell us. I also was learning that, it's nice to dip them in something. Like, I think people traditionally eat these with spicy brown mustard, it said, or like somebody had like dipped it in like a dill sauce. And so it was interesting because we have a dill aioli this week. So that could be good. And then what was the other one? Oh, they said like a Reuben sauce. So we have a Thousand Island dressing. I didn't try. Oh, somebody said nope. Okay, wait, is this Becky? We need answers. Thousand Island dressing might be good. Or we were thinking, what else were we thinking? I don't know. I thought of one more. I put it in the notes, but I liked it just as is. It was my favorite way. I didn't want the mustard. I just wanted it like that.
Yeah, these are great. Good little, and to find these things. I mean, half the time I'm researching things that like traditional meals, traditional sandwiches, wraps, dinners, desserts, all that stuff. And I just gotta have a growing list of stuff. And this is in the list. And it was like, we'll give it a try and see how it comes. And I didn't know, like the bread. That was another thing. It's like, all right, well, let me take a traditional bread recipe and replace the sugar. You're replacing the flour. It's like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. But yeah, they turned out great. The dough seemed like, I was telling Jude, originally, it seemed like it was going to be really dense, and it's not. Like it came out like really nice, not dense, not super fluffy, but just kind of that right consistency. And I think some of that is having to be able to hold that stuff in together as well, and not get like soggy or anything like that. But
You did a great job with the dough. It is
Yeah.
just perfect. It's so easy. And I know that like it could be intimidating to make your own dough. It always feels a little intimidating to me, but just like anything else, I mean, if you're going to make lasagna, you just carve out time. You just need to carve out time to make it. And these are so great. I bet you can even freeze them. We ate them too quick to even freeze them, but just carve out some time, make a bunch of them, and maybe freeze some of them. But the dough is not hard. It's like 6 ingredients. Like he used the maple syrup instead of the sugar. You even put tahini in it because I always question that. I'm always like, wait, what? And it's just so nice. It gives it a nice little oily texture, maybe. But the dough, when you're rolling it out, it's just perfect. I mean, I kept adding a tiny bit of flour to the surface, but it's nice and springy. It's not wet. It's not dry. You cut it into like 6 little dough balls, roll them out really quickly, add the filling, seal them, and bake them. I mean, it's really not hard.
And that's the thing with dough, and I'm not a baker. I mean, to be
No.
honest, right when I started this, I expected to go through a bunch of flops with the dough, just because I thought it would be like I said, I thought it would be dense or thick or too hard.
Yeah.
Like that happens sometimes too. But yeah, I mean, the dough, it's very easy to combine those ingredients, roll it out. It's a little bit of kneading, whatever it is, 5 or 6 minutes of kneading, and then rolling. It didn't stick. You have to kind of, if the dough is, I guess it's just trying to find that kind of perfect stickiness and not stickiness. So if it's a little too dry, add a little water. If it's too sticky, add a little flour. But yeah, flouring the surface comes right up. It didn't stick to the. I have
It's really nice. And it seals perfectly and it turns golden brown. I mean, you did a great job. I can't even believe it. Not that I can't believe you did.
Can't believe it. How dare you? How dare you?
Bread is hard. Bread is hard.
Every time I make a delicious dish, my sister can't believe it.
I keep telling Hattie, I was like, what? He should have went to culinary school. He's so good at this. We are not chefs. Frank's like, stop saying that. Yes, you are.
Exactly.
Becky said, is Becky here? Oh, it is Becky. She said, nope to dipping.
No dipping.
That's how I wanted it. That was the best way, just as is.
Yeah, so the first few I had just were regular, and then as I moved on, I did try the barbecue myself, and again, I did like it. I did try it with some mustard to see, and just like anything else. I mean, I've had sandwiches where I like them plain, and I've had sandwiches where I like them with mustard. So it really just depends. So we're trying to offer some options if people want to, but
right,
it'd be great with a soup, on the side. Like have some soup.
Sorry, dipped in soup on the side of the soup. Yeah, and you can make the beef style crumbles ahead of time. Surprisingly, they don't fall apart. Sometimes we worry about that, like we don't throw the crumbles into soup because it just turns into soft tofu again. We want it to stay crispy. But when you saute all the cabbage and onions and everything on the side, and then I let mine cool because I was afraid that the crumbles might get soft. So I let it cool a little bit, just a little bit, and then I mixed them all together and stuff them right away. So yeah, it's like kind of perfect timing for me. Like when I make the dough, then you do need an hour to let the dough rise. I know that's a pain too. I always think that's a pain making pizza. It's like, I don't want a pizza dough that I have to let rise. I want my dough right away. But if you're making these, you make that first. While that's rising, just prep everything else. Shred your cabbage. Like don't do anything till you make the dough. The dough will sit there for an hour under the towel, just on the counter. And then as soon as you're done, it's pretty much, ready to go.
I think that's half the battle with cooking is figuring that stuff out. Is like, okay, looking what you need to do, dough needs to rise. Yeah, that's exactly what I would do. It's like I'll get that going as it's rising, I saute, as opposed to doing one thing after the next. Yeah, that's how you kind of multitask, and things aren't as long as they seem like they may be. If you do them one at a time.
So what I did was I made them more like circles because as I kept making these, it's like the perfect amount of filling. Just like all the measurements work out perfectly. So then what I did is I picked up both sides and I pinched it all the way down. And then I had a little dough left on the end, so I tucked it under, or sometimes I trimmed it because depending on how big they were, some were a little bit bigger than others. and then you flip it over so it's seam side down, so it looks like this little puff ball.
Right. Yeah, I did it the same. You just take two sides, wrap it up. Although I pinched them along, and then I kind of pulled the outsides in, so they did come like this. They came a little oval, but yeah, you just tuck that under and set it down. I gave them a little pat just to kind of seal them down. And,
they're so cute.
Cook it on the parchment. They come right off. Nothing sticks. Nothing leaked out. It's not super saucy or anything where it leaks out or anything. Just make sure you pinch it nice and seal it up.
I did not have one of mine leak or anything.
Yeah, me neither. Well, I made it a few times, but in the end, I was expecting maybe an explosion at some point. Like these things aren't going to pop open, are they? Like I never know.
No, they're perfect. They're just nice and golden brown on the outside, and then a little bit soft on the inside, and then that hot filling. Speaking of the hot filling, I let them sit for a while. Don't cut them right away because they are hot, and you cannot bite into them because you really want to. It's like I sliced it in half, and I really want to bite, but then you're like, just let them sit because they're hot.
They are hot. Those pockets. All righty.
Okay. Yay. I can't wait to hear. I think Becky's going to make them. I can't wait to hear how everybody likes these. I hope you make them.
Jalapeno hummus.
Jalapeno hummus. Well, I am in love with our favorite hummus, so I never want to touch that. But we went out on a limb, and a good limb, because this is delicious.
I like variations of hummus. I like different, we've had like olive tapenade and the spicy curry, and I don't know. I like to mess around with the hummus. Just and I love the plain. I like plain not only for dip, but like I'll put the plain on sandwiches and things like that too. Not that I wouldn't do with this, but I make that a lot to do that with. But I do like to mix it up.
This is really good. I tried this a couple different ways. Roasting the jalapeno, it's just too much work because you don't have to. I mean, I don't know. They're really good roasted, but it was like, we just want to make hummus. When you want to make hummus, for me anyway, I should just speak for myself. When I want to make hummus, I want it to be fairly quick, I just want to make some hummus. And I like the fact that we do saute an onion and the jalapeno ahead of time. And then I tried one time I tried putting it into the hummus, like we make the hummus without it, saute the peppers and onions, and then we add them to the hummus and just mix it in. Well, then I tried blending it in. I didn't like it that as much. I mean, it was fine. It doesn't blend down smooth. It's still a little chunky, and I just didn't think it was necessary. You might as well just throw them in. Just skip that step. So, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
I got a frog in my throat. I keep trying to clear my throat here.
I thought you were trying to cut in because I don't shut up.
Keep putting myself on mute to clear my throat. I don't know.
So just because we are sauteing them and throwing them right into the hummus, the mixture, dice them really tiny. You don't want big chunks. So we have it in the recipe diced small. So make sure you just dice them as small as you can, the onion and the jalapeno. And then we saute them in the pan. And we said this before, you probably already know this, but when you take out the seeds, and especially when you cook the jalapeno, pretty much a lot of the heat comes out. There's a tiny bit left, but it's not hot. And I do think that word jalapeno might scare off some people, like I don't eat hot. It really just isn't hot. I don't know. I don't know what you thought. I mean, there is, you feel it a tiny, tiny bit, but I think even kids would be okay eating it,
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't think it was that hot. And we do have. I mean, you could add anything in to make it hot. And I know some people, when we put out spicy things, some people are always like, I don't eat hot, or that's too spicy. Yeah. So I didn't. Did we add the cayenne? Like
we added it. Optional.
I added a dash of cayenne. You could add more cayenne. I'm not a huge cayenne fan, but like I'm in love with my spicy Thai chili, dried chili, so I add that to a lot of stuff to really kick up the heat. But I mean, if you like it spicy, you can even do a serrano pepper, with a jalapeno, kind of mix it up.
Yeah.
If that gets any hotter, or a habanero if you want. Those are too hot for me.
But I love the flavor of the jalapeno in this. Yeah. You can really taste it without all the heat because we cook it. And then the lime. I mean, this is pretty much not completely, but it's very different than our favorite hummus.
Yeah.
It has the lime juice and cilantro mixed in, and that pop of lime at the end. I like to always taste it, and adjust the salt. But I love a little squirt of lime at the end. It just makes it all pop. And I think I added more cilantro to mine. Make it your own.
Sure. Yeah. It's a good mix.
It's a good changing it up a little bit. But everyone knows how to eat hummus with our baked pita crunchers. That's my favorite way. Or veggies. I like baby carrots, raw veggies. Put it on sandwiches. Whatever you do with your hummus.
The chips, the tortilla chips, the baked tortilla chips.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Oh yeah. So.
All right, we'll go on. The asparagus.
Asparagus with lemon garlic aioli. So we have a new aioli in town. And I'm really surprised. So we have a recipe developer, Julie, and she had made this a long time ago. I'm talking like 2 years ago. We have a lot of recipes from her that we haven't used. Phil and I create recipes, Julie does, but this was an old one. I don't know, it must be 2 years old. And I was looking for like side recipes and I came across it and I was like, what? We have an aioli we've never used. So I made it right away. And I have all this dill in my garden. I have tons of garlic as usual. And I know asparagus is more of a spring thing, but I love asparagus. I still buy it. It's not at the farmers markets anymore. But it's still good. And it was so good. I am putting this aioli on everything now. I mean, think about it. Lemon, garlic, and dill. So good.
Can't go wrong. You're dunking those buracs in there.
And I know for summer, I just want simple side dishes. Like last night, if anyone saw my post, I made the zucchini. My neighbor brought over 3 cute little zucchini he just picked. I was in the garden. I was like watering and filling the bird feeders. And he's like, hey, do you want some zucchini over the fence? I was like, yes, please. So we brought him over. And instantly I thought of our zucchini, almond parm, and basil. And it's so simple. And that's how I like to cook. I mean, I love our recipes, but sometimes, I mean, like our B-Rock, more complicated recipes, but you also want some simple ones, and especially with all these vegetables now, it's like, this is the easiest way to saute asparagus, literally in a hot pan with water for 12 minutes. It's perfect. Is it 12 minutes or am I thinking of something else? I'm thinking of the zucchini. The zucchini was 12 minutes. However long this is, it's kind of the same idea. 5 minutes. So this is 5 minutes. But anyway, that zucchini with the almond parm and the basil ribbons, done. So easy. This one's just as simple. I mean, that's all you do is saute this in the pan for 5 minutes, and you can make the dipping sauce ahead of time. And then we just eat it with our fingers, dipping it in the sauce. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, if you're serving it as a side dish, you can just ladle it over the top like hollandaise sauce or whatever,
exactly.
And serve it as a side dish,
Yep.
Either way, appetizer, side dish, fresh, light, delicious.
But like we always say, if you don't want to have asparagus or if you just want to try the aioli, try the components. Just try the aioli. It's a new one you have now. You could use for different things. Get creative. I know I'm going to. It's going to be showing up a lot. I'm going to be I got to have some ideas already because I know how good it is. So, you can make that ahead of time. Put it in the fridge. And we use silken tofu. So if you haven't used that, we talked about it before in other live shows. It's the softer version of tofu. Like we always use the extra firm tofu. This is the soft tofu. So look for that, and it's like shelf stable. You can find it on the shelf. We like the Morinu brand. That's the only one I think I've ever seen. I'm not sure. But it's really good, and that's what makes it so creamy. Our other aiolis, we only use cashews, but this one, Julie used the Morinu silken tofu. It's really good. Throw a little fresh dill in there. So there's dried and fresh, but don't forget the fresh dill. That really makes it pop.
There it is again on its own. So we added into the recipe itself, and it's a standalone as well. So you can try it on some other things and see if you like it.
Well, yeah, we like doing that because now you have that as its own. You don't have to think, where was that aioli? Because in 3 months, you're going to forget, where was that lemon garlic aioli? So now it's a standalone, and the way we attach our components, we're going to be using it again. I'm going to make something out of it, and I'm going to attach the aioli. So that makes it easier for us too. We don't have to add it to each recipe. I really love the way it's worked out with our components, because at first when Phil and I 3 years ago or longer, when we were designing our site, we wanted everything together, and it just, the back end, we had to do it this way. It was something about the shopping list, and I remember being bummed at first, like, oh, I just don't want to split up recipes, but see, it's like it just worked out.
Right.
I love having them separate.
I mean, a lot of these are. I mean, this is something, you know, when people are looking for alternatives to mayonnaise for sandwiches and things like that, or like, again, like you make this and you realize you like it, you're going to put it on broccoli, or you're going to put it on things that you like, you know, other things.
Right.
Like that's the whole idea, is to, you know, is to do that. So keep that in mind. So that's the standalone. And last but not least, the old family favorite. It's funny that when you wrote that intro, because I was just about to do that. It's like, this is something my mom, and this is super simple, but
this is barely a recipe. It's just a preparation.
My mom used to make this. I mean, as long back as I can remember, you know, like from the garden, like they would just pick, just make a quick cucumber salad, you know, and just like go out to the garden and pick a couple cucumbers. Mom's going to make cucumber salad. It's like cucumbers and vinegar, pepper and salt.
That's not a recipe, Mom.
I mean, it is, but it is. But
vinegar. It's like It's like pickling them in a way. That's all you're doing.
So many people eat it. We have the other recipe, like the creamy with the onions, and and it's like when us growing up, like I'd go to someone else's house, and it was always the other way with mayonnaise, or I think it's typically with the onions and all that, and we did it that way too. We recreated that one. But to me, it was always like, well, this isn't the way my mom makes it. It was like, this is the way my mom always made it. Mom never made them with the mayonnaise and like that. But I do like it that way. Like we made it, we recreated it, it came out great. But I really like just this kind of fresh. I like vinegar a lot myself, so I like that, crispy vegetables and just like tang of vinegar.
Well, it's also the preparation, because it's super like paper thin. And when we were growing up, Mom used to cut them so paper thin. And she used to make a lot more, like just a huge amount, and they were soaking in that vinegar all day while she was, then at dinner time came, they were nice and chilled, and I cut it with a little bit of water, because the first time I made this, Frank was like, that's a lot of vinegar. So put in a little bit of water, whatever the recipe says, it's better, because you don't want full-on white vinegar, but lots of vinegar, mostly vinegar. But yeah, there's just something about the really thin slices, it being chilled, and that black pepper. I mean, the black pepper that's like the finishing touch. It's just good. Yeah, it's just a good combo. And you know what? If you like, I think Kim, I read today, she said like cucumbers are booming in her garden. Sometimes you run out of ideas. Like I'll just munch on raw cucumbers because they're around. We have so many. So it's like, okay, this is kind of a nice little thing to do with them. But I do want to point out, did you forget that our main way of making it was, our dad made tomato salad, because we also had a lot of tomatoes in the garden. So we just did like a good olive oil, juicy ripe tomatoes. He'd cut them into big chunks, cover it with olive oil, and then lots of garlic. Like, did I just say that? No. Lots of garlic. Like tons of garlic. Where I remember Mom saying, Frank, cut it up, like mince it. He like chunks of garlic. But anyway, and salt and pepper, I think. And then that would sit, a little oregano, I think. And then that would sit and marinate. And then it would like, the tomatoes would like get real juicy. And the juices would come out. Oh, it was the best part. I'll never forget Dad always saying that, like taking the big loaf of Italian bread and like sopping up all that garlicky tomato juice. It really was really good.
We're making remember the frizzelles?
Oh my gosh, yes.
If anyone knows what those are, they're basically like.
We gotta make them. You know what? I started to think about tomato recipes too, because tomatoes are booming. So frizzelles.
So these are like, it's like bread. I don't even know what kind of bread though. It's Italian bread, but
it's its own thing. It's like a bread ring. Yeah, I think it's its own thing.
They're typically about that round, and it's like a big bagel. It's like a hard big bagel,
crouton, like a giant crouton,
cut in half. So it's super hard. And then the way he used to make them was you pour water on it to kind of moisten it up, and then you load it up with that tomato.
I'm so craving that. Yeah, I've got to go into some oil, I think, soon, because I really need that for Zale.
What's great about those is, and just like in the Aquazal recipe, so the bread's like super crunchy and crispy on the outside, and the inside soggy with the tomato sauce. Then you have the fresh tomatoes and the garlic.
Oh my god! Really I have fresh oregano in my garden too.
Well, you probably have to go to. Actually, Mariano's probably has those. I saw them somewhere years ago, and I was like, "Holy cow!" Oh, I saw them at Caputo's.
I know where to get them. Yeah, not DeAndre's, Diamato's. What is Diamato's in the city? Diamato's Bakery. It was right by Harpo. They have them.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make them for you. Yeah, I'm craving it right now. Wow, cravings are real.
The cravings.
We talked about that in the podcast. Cravings are real. That oil kicked in, and I'm like, I need it. But anyway, Dad used to make that tomato salad, and then sometimes he'd change it up, and he would add black olives. Remember, he'd add black olives, the same like oil, salt, pepper, and oregano, dried oregano, and then tomatoes, black olives, and then cucumbers. And that was my favorite way with all three.
The trifecta.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I would make that for years. Like we used to make that all the time. The kid, and the fact that the kids like. Well, my daughter likes it. My son not so much, but yeah, my wife likes it. We all like it.
I know. I stopped making it when I stopped eating oil.
You could make that tomato salad and dip that B-Rock.
That sounds good. No dipping. That's traditionally no dipping.
We're breaking traditions here.
Oh my gosh. Well, we do have tomato recipes coming up soon because tomato season is upon us. So
yeah, I got like 30 tomatoes that are still green. I can't wait. They're coming in like one's just barely ripe. We're like, just pluck it now. Like waiting with bated breath. The grape tomatoes are coming in like crazy. So I'm picking those every day. I'm just eating them outside of the garden. I'm cutting the grass the other day. Every time I go by the garden, it's just a grab a tomato. Oh, man, they're so sweet and they're like super juicy. But yeah, the other ones, I have those plum tomatoes that are coming in. We've had like a handful of those, but yeah, the regular, I think we have a beefsteak and we have something called the bigger boy or the better boy or something like that. Just a bigger red tomato.
Big boy.
There's so many of them. It's just like, oh, they're all green. Come on. That's what's going to happen. They're all going to turn at once and we're going to be eating tomatoes like crazy. I can't wait.
Same with ours. And those things grow so fast. So around our back deck, we have the hydrangea plants that are pretty new because we just planted our garden like 3 years now? 3 years ago. But anyway, now they're pretty big. So we had room right there and it's super sunny. So Frank decided to plant the tomato plants right in front of them with the cages, Oh my gosh, they took over the tomato plants. Last night he had my trellises that we added to the cages and he's tying everything up to the trellises, and I'm like, I can't see the hydrangeas. Maybe I'll do a little video of our yard. It's looking so nice.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you should.
No, I think I will. And anyway, now they're covered in little green tomatoes. We did mostly cherry, but we have a few bigger ones. But yeah, I'm so excited. Some of them are turning orange. My herbs are going nuts, so I have to start this weekend. I'm going to be doing a lot with those because I'm giving them away.
I've had to given away like a dozen cucumbers because they all come. I have like 6 or 8 ready to go, and it's like, geez, I can't eat that many cucumbers in the next week.
And you can't let them go to waste. I know.
Yeah, I know. One of mine's growing through the fence, and it's like massive, and then it goes down to like a tiny little waist, and then massive on the other side. So now it's too it's overripe. Now it's turning like really super light and white. I'm just gonna let it go and I'll throw it in the compost bin. It's like this big. It's just keeps growing and growing and growing through the fence. And my pumpkins already turned. There's 3 of them now, and one turned super light orange. I'll do a video of that this week.
Can you do a video? I haven't seen your garden. I want to see everything. Do a video.
The tomatoes are exploding. They're past the cages now. My tomato plants I've struggled with for years. This is the first year. It was like, wow, it's like super tomato plants this year, which is awesome. But usually we get like a handful of tomatoes. Oh, we got like 8 or 9 tomatoes this season. Yahoo! And it's just like there's 30 coming due, 40 coming due. Right
You're
now.
getting excited.
Can't wait.
For the best. Oh my gosh.
All right, maybe I was going to do the video this past week, but I think it was raining Monday and Tuesday, so I didn't do that. But yeah, I'll go back out in the garden this week.
Yeah, I want to.
Alrighty, cool. All right, well, that's all we got for today. Hope everyone has a great weekend. It's going to be a really nice weekend here in Chicago.
Yes.
It's like the high 70s, low 80s, and sunny for like the next week or so. So that's
all right. I'll take it.
Awesome.
All
right, everybody, have a great day and weekend. And did you have something else to say? Sorry.
I said I'm going to the city to get some frizzelles.
Get me some.
I will.
I'll come by.
Okay.
All right, everybody, have a great weekend and enjoy. And we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.